The three loud, arrogant bikers had made the entire cafe nervous. Customers stared at their food, and the young waitress looked like she was about to cry. Everyone was terrified of them. Everyone except for the beautiful woman in the wheelchair, sitting quietly in the corner. Her lack of fear was a challenge they couldn't ignore. They saw a broken woman, an easy target. They had no idea they were about to make the biggest mistake of their lives. Her name was Carla. She was in her late 30s, a beautiful white woman with long dark brown hair and calm light brown eyes that seemed to see right through people. She wore a simple fitted gray tank top and black jeans. Her body was curvy with a well-defined chest and strong shoulders that showed a life of intense physical training. She sat with a powerful, unshakable stillness in her wheelchair. Attached to the side of the chair's frame, polished and proud, was a small circular metal badge, the United States Army SEAL Trident. Carla had been through hell and come back. Her prosthetic legs hidden beneath her black jeans were a constant reminder of the price she had paid to save her team. The cafe was supposed to be her quiet place, a small piece of the normal life she had fought so hard for. But today the peace was shattered. For more powerful videos about our military heroes, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue to tell these important stories. The three men were a storm of disrespect. They were loud. They were rude to the staff. And they acted like they owned the place. Their leader, a big man with cruel eyes and tattoos covering his arms, noticed Carla watching them, her expression calm and unafraid. He saw her lack of fear as an insult. He and his friends walked over to her table, their boots heavy on the floor. "Well, look what we have here," the leader sneered, his eyes traveling over her body. "A pretty little thing all by herself. What's the matter? Your boyfriend leave you here?" Carla just looked at him, her light brown eyes as hard as stone. "I'm fine," she said, her voice low and steady. Her calmness only made him angrier. He then pointed a thick finger at the trident on her wheelchair. "And what's that supposed to be? You a fan of the army? Did you get that little sticker from a cereal box?" "I earned it," Carla said, her voice dangerously quiet. "You earned it." The man laughed, a loud, ugly sound that made people flinch. "But I'm sure they're letting crippled girls into the SEALs now. That's real cute." His friends joined in, their laughter echoing in the now silent cafe. The other customers looked away, too scared to get involved. From a small table in the corner, a young man in a simple t-shirt and jeans watched the whole thing, his hands clenched into tight fists under the table. He was an active duty soldier home on leave. He had seen the trident on her chair, and he knew exactly what it was. To see these thugs mock it, to see them disrespect a warrior who wore it filled him with a hot protective rage. The lead bully leaned down, putting his hands on the arms of her wheelchair, trapping her. "You know what? I don't like your attitude," he growled. Before Carla could react, he gave her chair a hard, sudden shove. The chair lurched forward, crashing into her small table. Her coffee cup tipped over, spilling hot liquid all over her lap and the floor. Carla looked down at the mess, then back up at the bully, her face a mask of cold fury. She didn't say a word. The young soldier in the corner had seen enough. He knew he couldn't take on three large men by himself, but he knew who could. He quietly stood up, went outside to the busy street, and pulled out his phone. He dialed a number he had been told to use only in a true emergency. The direct line to the Master Chief of the local SEAL team. "Master Chief," the young soldier said, his voice low and urgent. "I'm at the Bluest Cafe on Main Street. There are some men here. They're harassing a disabled veteran." He paused, his voice dropping even lower. "Sir, it's one of yours. She has a trident on her wheelchair, a real one." He listened for a moment. Right now." He hung up the phone. He knew that help, the right kind of help, was on the way. The young soldier slipped back into the cafe and returned to his corner table, his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't touch his food. He just watched and he waited. The next 20 minutes felt like a lifetime. The air in the cafe was thick with a tense, uncomfortable silence. The other customers tried not to stare, but their eyes kept flicking over to Carla's table, then quickly away. The staff stayed hidden behind the counter. No one said a word. No one did a thing. Chad and his friends, feeling powerful in the face of the cafe's fear, didn't stop. They saw Carla's silence as weakness. They pulled up chairs and sat down at her table, trapping her. "What's the matter?" Chad sneered, leaning in close. "Too scared to even talk now. I thought you earned that little badge on your leg. Real tough guys don't just sit there and take it." His friends laughed. One of them picked up a sugar packet from the table and threw it at her. It bounced off her shoulder and fell to the floor. "Oops," he said with a stupid grin. Through it all, Carla remained a statue of calm. Her face was hard as stone. Her light brown eyes filled with a cold, controlled fire. She didn't speak, she didn't move. She just sat there, her hands resting on the arms of her wheelchair, her back perfectly straight. Her quiet dignity was a silent act of defiance, and it made the bullies furious. They hated that they couldn't break her. They hated that she wasn't afraid of them. They were about to escalate things again when a new sound cut through the quiet hum of the cafe. It was the deep, powerful rumble of heavy engines. Everyone in the cafe turned to look out the front windows. Two huge black government SUVs had pulled up to the curb, parking one behind the other. They were the kind of vehicles you see in movies with tinted windows and a serious no-nonsense look. The cafe's patrons began to whisper nervously. Then the doors of the SUVs opened and out stepped 8 men. They were all large, muscular, and moved with a quiet, deadly purpose. They were not in uniform, but there was no mistaking who they were. They wore simple, dark clothing, jeans, boots, and plain t-shirts that showed off their powerful builds. They were active-duty Navy SEALs. They shut the SUV doors with a single solid thump and stood for a moment on the sidewalk, scanning the cafe. The loud, arrogant energy of the 3 bullies vanished instantly, replaced by a cold, sudden fear. Chad's cruel smile melted from his face. His friends stopped laughing. They looked at the 8 silent warriors outside and then at each other, their faces pale. The door of the cafe opened and the 8 SEALs filed in. They didn't make a sound. They moved in. Perfect formation, their eyes scanning the room, assessing every person, every threat. The entire cafe held its breath. The young soldier in the corner caught the eye of the lead SEAL and gave a single, almost invisible nod toward Carla's table. The lead SEAL's eyes, as cold and gray as a winter ocean, moved. He saw the 3 bullies. He saw the spilled coffee on the floor. He saw the fear in the other customers' eyes. And then he saw Carla. His hard face softened for just a moment with a look of deep concern and respect. He and his 7 teammates, a silent wall of muscle and military power, turned in perfect unison. They began to walk slowly, deliberately, directly toward the 3 bullies, who were now frozen in pure absolute terror. The 8 Navy SEALs surrounded the small cafe table, their large frames blocking out the light. They didn't speak. They just stood there, a silent wall of muscle and menace, their eyes locked on the 3 arrogant men. The loud, confident bully, Chad, was now pale and trembling. He looked from one hard face to the next, finally understanding that he had made a terrible, terrible mistake. The cafe was so quiet you could hear the ice melting in a forgotten glass. The lead SEAL, a man with the rank of Master Chief on his collar, finally spoke. His voice was not loud, but it was low and dangerous, like the growl of a wolf. "I'm going to ask you one time," he said to Chad. "What were you doing to this woman?" Chad swallowed hard, his throat suddenly dry. "Nothing," he stammered. "We were just talking. It was a misunderstanding." The Master Chief's eyes narrowed into slits. He pointed a single steady finger at the Navy SEAL trident on Carla's prosthetic leg. "A misunderstanding," he whispered, his voice full of cold fury. "You see this? This is a trident. This is not a toy. This is not a sticker you get from a cereal box. This is a symbol that is earned with blood, with sweat, and with the courage to walk into the darkest places on earth, so that boys like you can sleep safely in your beds at night." He then looked at Carla and his entire expression changed. The hard anger in his face was replaced by a deep, powerful respect. He addressed her by a title, his voice now loud and clear for the entire cafe to hear. "This woman," he announced, "is retired Master Chief Carla Raven Rivas, and she is a legend." He then turned back to the three terrified college boys and told them a story. He told them about a high-stakes hostage rescue mission in a war-torn country 5 years ago. He told them about how Master Chief Rivas' SEAL team had been the ones to go in, storming a heavily armed enemy compound. "They were clearing the final building when they were ambushed," the Master Chief said, his voice low and heavy. "A grenade was thrown into the small room where her team was. There was no time to throw it back. There was nowhere to run." He let the terrible image hang in the air for a moment. "So, she did what only the bravest of us would do. She screamed for her men to get back, and she jumped on the grenade. She used her own body to shield her team from the blast." One of the other SEALs, a man with a long scar on his face, stepped forward. His eyes were full of tears. He looked at the three college boys, his voice thick with emotion. "I was in that room," he said. "We all were. She saved our lives that day. Every single one of us has a family, has children because of what she did. That blast is what took her legs. She traded them for us." The story hit the silent cafe like a physical blow. The waitress behind the counter was openly crying. The young soldier who made the call looked on with pride. Chad and his friends were now completely broken, their faces a mask of pure sick shame. The woman they had pushed, the woman they had mocked and called crippled, was a hero of a kind they couldn't even understand. The lead Master Chief leaned down until his face was inches from Chad's. "You are going to stand up," he commanded, his voice a deadly whisper. "You are going to apologize to Master Chief Rivas for the disrespect you have shown her and the trident she earned, and then you and your friends are going to get out of our sight. Am I clear? If you believe that a hero's sacrifice should be honored, type 'We honor the Raven.'" Chad, the arrogant college student, was trembling as he stood before Carla. The 8 Navy SEALs watched him, their eyes cold and hard. He finally found his voice, a pathetic mumble that was a world away from his earlier confident sneer. "Ma'am, Master Chief, I am so sorry," he stammered, unable to look her in the eye. We didn't know. We were just being stupid." Carla looked at the broken young man and the 2 terrified friends hiding behind him. She could see the genuine fear and shame in their eyes. She gave a slow, deliberate nod. "I accept your apology," she said, her voice calm and strong, cutting through the silence of the cafe. She then looked down at her prosthetic leg and the trident that rested upon it. "You see this chair, this leg. You saw them as a weakness, something to make fun of." She raised her head and looked directly at Chad, her light brown eyes locking onto his. "You need to understand, these are not signs of weakness. They are proof that my entire team came home alive. It's a price I would pay again without a second thought." She looked around at the other patrons who were watching. "Respect isn't about being afraid of someone," she said, her voice full of a quiet power. "It's about understanding what they were willing to give up to protect you, even when you don't deserve it." Her words settled over the cafe, a powerful lesson in honor and sacrifice. The lead Master Chief then gave a sharp nod to Chad. "You heard her," he said, his voice leaving no room for argument. "Pay for your drinks, pay for hers, and then you and your friends will leave. You will not come back here ever. This place is under our protection now." The 3 young men fumbled with their wallets, throwing cash onto the table before practically running out of the cafe in disgrace. Once they were gone, the entire cafe seemed to let out a collective breath. The owner of the cafe rushed over, tears in her eyes, telling Carla that she would never have to pay for a meal there again. The other customers erupted in a loud, spontaneous round of applause. a wave of respect and gratitude washing over the woman they had silently watched being humiliated just minutes before. The young soldier who had made the phone call came over, stood at perfect attention, and gave Carlo a sharp, respectful salute. The 8 SEALs pulled up chairs, creating a protective circle around their commander. The tension in the room was replaced by a warm feeling of family and safety. They didn't talk about the battle that had cost Carla her legs. Instead, they talked about old times, their voices low, sharing jokes that only they understood. They were a tribe, a family forged in fire, and they had just reminded the world that they always take care of their own. Carla, who had come to the cafe to be alone, was now surrounded by her brothers. She looked at their faces, and for the first time that day, a real genuine smile spread across her own. The trident on her leg wasn't just a symbol of a past she had survived. It was a beacon, a call to arms for the family that would always come for her, no matter what. In the quiet cafe surrounded by her heroes, the Master Chief was finally home. If you believe that the military is a family for life, type "leave no one behind." If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.